Today on this table we have two GPUs, one that everyone seems to love and one that everyone seems to hate.
And they both come in at around the same price point of $299. Which one is actually the best though? It may surprise you, but we got a benchmark it to find out after a word from today's sponsor.
Hey Matt, are you ready to benchmark?
Hey man, I'm ready to benchmark, but I really need to get something to eat first. I am starving.
Dude, you're gonna go get fast food? That's gonna take you like 20 minutes, dude. We really need to get this video done.
Don't worry, it won't take too long. Ever since I tried today's video sponsor, Huel, I've been able to make meals really quickly, and they're very nutritious. Huel Black Edition is a tasty, high-protein meal that is much more affordable than you might think.
What do you mean? Like, how affordable is it?
It only costs $2.65 a meal, and it takes only a few minutes to make.
Okay, but how can it be nutritious and only take a few minutes to make?
All it takes is some water and 2 scoops of Huel Black Edition powder, shake it up, and you have a nice balanced blend of carbs, fats, and 40 grams of plant-based protein. Plus you get 6 grams of fiber and 27 essential vitamins and minerals, all for just 400 calories. And the best part is, Huel comes in a multitude of flavors, my personal favorite being chocolate.
I mean, no, that sounds really cool, but I just don't even have time to make that.
But wait, they have ready-to-drink meals as well.
Oh, dude, that's great for someone like me who's always on the go.
So whether you want a high-protein breakfast, lunch, or after-workout snack, Huel Black Edition is the perfect option for you. If you want to try Huel today, use code ToastyBros15 and head on over to Huel.com/ToastyBros15 or scan the QR code on screen today to get 15% off.
So big thanks to Huel for sponsoring today's video. Let's go ahead and get back into it. So now we do have two slightly different cards here. The Intel Arc B580 is sort of a little bit older than the 5060, and the B580 came out at $250, but we're starting to see prices more like $300 to even $329.99 sometimes. And now our 5060, we got a nice 3-fan model here, so this one's usually around $329 or sometimes a little bit less depending on the model you get, especially if you go on those 2-fan cards. Those will be $299 typically.
So basically we have two cards at very similar price ranges, one that has gone up in price, but one that launched at its price and is staying in stock at its price. And this one is getting a lot of hate, the NVIDIA card, the 5060, and this is our first time testing it. We want to see the beloved B580. Everyone thinks Intel is the savior for bringing this card with more VRAM. Is it actually a better option though at the same price point? Let's talk about our test bench and dive into some testing where we'll do some side-by-side benchmarks and our normal Let's Play style in some very demanding games and esports titles to determine at $299 where is your money best spent. Let me tell you about that test bench and then we'll dive into it.
To go over the specs of the test bench, we have the Ryzen 7 7700X that is an 8-core 16-thread with a large tower cooler cooling it. We also have 32 gigs of DDR5 RAM at 6000 megahertz in dual channel. This test bench is packed with storage as well with a 4TB Lexar Gen 4 NVMe SSD. We have an Asus ROG Strix B650 Wi-Fi motherboard. We have a 1200 watt 80 plus gold fully modular power supply, all inside of a pretty high airflow full ATX case.
Now some of the key specs you need to know about between these two cards are as follows. We first have the RTX 5060, which does come with GDDR7 VRAM, 8 gigs of it, which nowadays is kind of a hot topic, and we'll touch on that later when we get to benchmarking, versus the B580, which comes with 12 gigs of VRAM, GDDR6, which is older, but it does have 12 gigs, which does make a bit of difference in games that are more VRAM hungry. One reason you would go NVIDIA with the 5060 is you do get DLSS, while with the B580, you do have access to Intel's upscaling, which normally isn't nearly as good, but in our testing, we'll be able to determine which one is better.
We have a lot of benchmarks to do. We're gonna be going back and forth and doing some built-in benchmarks. All right, guys, we are testing out some good old new Arc B580. So we're currently running a balanced preset at 1440p, which we're gonna be doing most of these tests at 1440 since, we say this every video now, but just to remind you guys, we kind of think it's like the new 1080 at this point. So we're definitely doing a lot more 1440p as time goes on, and eventually 1080p will probably be like 720, where you just won't really run it much anymore.
Yeah, and some other games during our side-by-side comparison, we will run 1080p because we are still in the quote-unquote budget area. I mean, budget's pretty pricey nowadays, if we're being honest, but we'll run 1080p as well so you guys can see both with the side-by-sides. But for live action, we'll do 1440p and adjust if needed.
Oh, this is a sniper.
Oh,
it's like
got him.
Semi-auto. Oh my god.
We're cooking. We're cooking.
Legend.
Oh,
where's he going?
No. Oh. And guys, the ultimate test is, does he do better on the Arc card or the 5060? That's where we find out the real
Powered
test.
by Intel.
Forget about FPS. More kills is better.
Holy crap, there's like a full team up here.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh! That teammate, get him!
Get him!
Look at this.
Dude, I'll take out their whole team.
Intel Arc is cooking right now.
I didn't even, you know what's funny is I thought that was my assault rifle. You could probably, I was
felt
holding
like
the
that,
trigger down.
Yeah, I think that's Arm $20. Oh, but they got you.
I think that's actually a pretty decent run, honestly, for Arc. So 80 to 90 FPS.
Yeah,
most of the
with
time.
dips into the upper 70s every so often. But I would say 80 to 90 is pretty comfortable with no upscaling at 1440p. See what the 5060 can do.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are in the war zone again on our 5060. We're currently running the exact same settings as we were because we were not doing any upscaling, so we don't have to worry about DLSS or XeSS. This is just raw performance. As you guys can see, NVIDIA's they're kind of taking the cake here for sure. You know, we'll talk about the price a little bit more later on, but I mean, at the end of the day, the 5060 you can find a little bit cheaper sometimes.
Yep, you can find it cheaper, and also in a game like this that doesn't seem to be VRAM dependent, even at 1440p right now.
Oh, I didn't even need to reload. Oh, what are you doing over here? Oh, well, Johnny.
And we're cooking. We're in the hundreds. We never hit hundreds before. We were in like the 80 to 90 range. We're using about 7 gigs of VRAM, and this is, again, at 1440p. You want to triple check that it is 1440p?
I mean, I gotta be honest, this feels a good amount better.
Much higher FPS, so, hey, in terms of optimizations and just raw horsepower, this GPU does feel better.
Oh my god! Where'd he go?
8 bullets.
Me.
Oh, man. Oh, wow. Oh, hello? Are you? No! I was gonna say, is this the ultimate ball lobbies? What is happening here?
Oh! All right. That rain would. Oh, I don't have it. I don't have self-revive. Let me just.
Yo!
All right, guys. So it's pretty clear with that upscaling and whatnot, the 5060 is definitely better than the Arc card in a benchmark like this. And you know, we're looking at a solid like 10 to 20 more FPS, sometimes even more. So let's go ahead and go on to the next game.
Next game. Okay, guys, we're in Spider-Man 2, and FPS ain't great right now, I'll be honest with you. We're currently running at the following settings, and we're gonna do the same thing with the 5060, and we will lower as need be, which I'm assuming is gonna be pretty quickly. We're at 1440p medium settings with a bit of ray tracing, and right now we're using 13 gigs of VRAM, 9 in this application. Meaning that, you know, overall, this is not going to be super playable, and this is kind of something I expected from when we did the 16 gig versus 8 gig test. Spider-Man was one of those where with the 8 gig card it didn't run well, but even with the 16 gig card, we were using almost 16 gigs of VRAM. So if you're going to play this game, you're probably going to be dipping down to 1080p instead of 1440p with ray tracing. Which again, it's a $300 graphics card. In 2025, I would hope we could play 1440p with ray tracing, but you can't get everything you want, unfortunately, in this market.
Did you see us like borrowing VRAM too?
Yeah, so like if I can survive this, I'll go to Task Manager and show you guys. Because I pulled it up, it shows in Task Manager how much of the shared memory we are using, because we're definitely borrowing it.
It's crazy. Normally Windows it only be like a gig apart, but this is like 4 gigs apart.
It is using a lot, and I think it's because the resolution is higher, and for whatever reason, Windows across the board just eats up VRAM, which is what I noticed a lot with the other tests too. It just wants to eat it. So we pull up Task Manager. Let me go down here to the GPU. We're using all of it there, but we're using a little bit of our shared memory. So we are pulling a little extra. Actually, we dipped down a little bit. But yeah, I don't know why it's doing that. So I guess it won't go the full 12 because maybe there's problems if it goes the full 12 because it's pulling 2 of shared memory.
I'm sure Windows has a reason for doing it.
So now that we've done that, just for the fun of it, I'm going to first turn on some upscaling because we'll see if upscaling helps at all. I don't think it will, but we'll run Intel's quality upscaling. Actually, we'll run balance. Let's do that. Hit apply. Maybe that'll lighten the load a little bit in terms of VRAM. No, it doesn't. It makes the performance better, but we are still borrowing VRAM. And I will say it's smoother.
Yeah, not too bad.
But we're still getting a few dips here and there. I think the biggest thing is just going to be turning off that ray tracing at 1440p, which I think is more than acceptable for this graphics card. But we'll see what the 5060 looks like. They might, I mean, if it's a VRAM problem, it's most certainly going to have the same issues. So let's go and turn off ray tracing. Which in this game kind of sucks, but we'll go ahead and make sure that stays off. And with the upscaling, we're getting
surprisingly not a whole lot more.
Not much more, because we're actually still, I mean, we're not VRAM limited now, we're more GPU limited. So I would say some of the performance wasn't just VRAM, it was still the Intel GPU having a little bit of struggle in this game, especially with the upscaler. So pretty comfortably without any sort of upscaling and everything, running ray tracing, we're like 30 to 40 FPS. But we turn on some upscaling and turn off ray tracing, we're close to 60, but we're not 100% there at 1440p. I definitely think this is a 1080p game, and if you're wanting to play this game, go 1080p. But yeah, we'll see what the 5060 can do and what kind of settings we're gonna have to lower to make sure that this is playable. Okay guys, we are now in Spider-Man 2, and we are currently running the following settings. On the 5060, we're running no upscaling, 1440p, medium preset with ray tracing on high, and I will say the 5060 is handling ray tracing a lot better. The FPS is getting lower, and we were getting about 30 to 40 last time, but it wasn't getting anywhere close to this, where we're getting close to 50 FPS. Okay, we're getting little dips here and there. Either way, I think upscaling is gonna be required, but I'll be curious to see how much better upscaling helps the 5060 versus the B580, because with the B580, it didn't make a major difference. We had to turn ray tracing all the way off for it to really matter. So we'll go over here real quick, put out some fires, and then from there, I will switch on some upscaling, see if that makes a major difference. I just really passed everything, didn't I? Hey, what's up? Goodbye. Fires extinguished. I don't care about the fires. Probably should care about the fires.
Spidey Sensei's funk.
Oh, that guy's still alive. Now he's done, yay! So yeah, we definitely are hitting 50 FPS, which is higher before, so far 5060 doing better, especially with ray tracing. I was surprised because our VRAM usage is lower, and some of the stutter might have to be to do with our VRAM getting close to maxed out, because we noticed even with the B580, it was hovering a little bit lower than the actual full max. So it could be getting maxed out here, but let's try some upscaling and see if we can get a lock 60, because that would be pretty cool. So we'll do some DLSS on balance using the transformer model, that works. And this is with ray tracing on the low preset, which is basically high in this game for whatever reason. So, and that made no difference. Nothing at all. I think it is the ray tracing causing some problems here, and we are probably limited with that. So no difference whatsoever with that. So I guess let's just go and turn off. We'll turn off ray tracing, and now we're getting 70 FPS. Nice. I think overall this is probably about a 10 FPS improvement versus the B580 if you're using this graphics card. So both cards, I would not do 1440p ray tracing. They would both be 1080p ray tracing, and in that case, I would probably still give the edge to the 5060. But yeah, no, this is actually pretty interesting to see. I think overall it's a smoother experience, but you guys at home can be the judge when you're seeing it. And we'll move on to the next game to see if this trend continues.
All right, we are playing Marvel Rivals on the B580, and we're currently running borderless windowed. We are using XeSS at balanced 80%. I know DLSS has the same settings basically, and then medium preset. So we will be using the 5060 with some upscaling as well, because this game just, it loves it.
Yeah, we're comparing some upscalers here, because you know with the NVIDIA cards, you get access to DLSS, while be it other GPUs get access to Intel and AMD upscaling. NVIDIA just says, you know what, you have to buy our cards to use it. We'll see what the difference is with this, and especially an esports title, we want to get those FPS numbers as high as possible.
Yeah, and obviously, like, we're not going to run up, like, I didn't run upscaling in Warzone, so we'll give you guys a little bit of both, basically.
We're giving you variety across all the games. So far, without testing the 5060, if the 5060 on paper, which it should be, is faster by a little bit of the B580, we're not using 8 gigs of VRAM, so in theory, the 5060 should perform better in this scenario.
Yeah, I think that the 5060 will perform better in most, if not everything, but to be fair, I don't really have a lot of experience with it, so it could be worse than I'm thinking. Yeah, it definitely reminds me of like the RX 580 and saying
like 1440p back in the day. Yeah. So 1440p in today's title, especially these like Unreal Engine games, it's very demanding.
But obviously in stuff like this, it's totally doable.
Yep.
It should just say like 1440p asterisk, you know?
Yeah. Intel's not innocent when it comes to them saying 1440p and then pitching that you have to use their upscaler, just like NVIDIA does.
Yeah, really? I thought he was like a lot lower than he is. Okay. Oh god. Oh. Don't make me do this.
That's crazy.
Oh god, why is he so tanky in this? Like, normally he's so easy to kill in it.
Oh, nope, he said, you're not getting me this time, partner.
And he's just sitting still. Oh god, he's ulting.
Oh,
no. Oh my god.
You want to get wand.
Dude, I've never seen that thing hit like that.
Hey, let's go. So pretty comfortably 100.
Yeah.
We dipped into like the 90s every so often, but I would say like 100, about 120 was a good average.
Yeah, no, it's pretty good, so let's test it out in the good old NVIDIA. Alright guys, we are playing Marvel Rivals again with the 56 this time, of course, and we are currently running the exact same settings, but with NVIDIA DLSS set to balance instead of XDS set balanced. Ooh, the heck. And this is already looking immensely better. Now, it is a different map, so we gotta keep that in mind. There's gonna be some discrepancies, but I think it's gonna be safe to say that this is probably gonna be a little bit better.
And also, this is a test of different upscaling tech, which Intel's has been known to not be as good as DLSS. So you're paying for a 50 series card, you're paying the quote-unquote premium, getting less VRAM for the same price as the B580, but you're getting a DLSS upscaler that is probably the best one you can get right now. So
yeah, it's kind of like one of those, it's a trade-off situation, you know? Like if you want more VRAM, you can go Intel, but you gotta know that you really need it, you know, and that you don't just need raw performance. Oh. I just shot it like right between everyone. That's kind of embarrassing, I'm not gonna lie.
It'd also be important to mention as well, the B580 didn't technically launch at the price that it's at right now. It is the price that it is, and it's gonna stay that way. This was a $259 card or whatever, which is a $40 difference, which does make a difference, but the fact that you can't really get that without getting lucky at a Micro Center now and finding one of those limited edition cards makes it to where I think it's still a fair comparison, because this is what people are actually gonna see on the market at the same price.
Chase them to their spawn. Alright, alright. Someone's about to get freaking armed and dangerous. Oh. Jeff the Land Schnark. Oh god.
Oh no.
You're mine now. Yeah.
Oh.
Oh. My healers are so goated.
No.
My healers, my goats. Oh. I think way too much health. I'm not even gonna bother. Me and Panther hiding in here. Holy crap!
That ult.
Yeah. Well, he counter. Oh
Wow.
Oh.
And wow, they just blew
Dude, they
through
like
that.
wow, they like really turned that around. Well, overall, RTX card so far has been better in every game we've tried.
Next game. All right, guys, we are now playing Oblivion Remaster, aka Benchmark Simulator, and we're currently. Oh, look, the resolution scale is.
Wait, why is it there now?
I don't know. And now it's at 100%. Okay, I don't know why it wasn't before. So we're currently running 1440p, 100% render scale, medium settings, no ray tracing, and no upscaling. Anti-aliasing is off. I should probably put FXAA on though. Let's do that.
Something.
Just something, because it's gonna look like garbage. Jesus Christ.
100% render scale definitely.
Yeah, it definitely is making the FPS a lot worse. We're getting like 30 FPS at 1440p native, which ain't great. This is actually, funny enough, our second run here, and I'm actually kind of glad we did it this way because we can see worst case scenarios going on here. Our VRAM is over 10 gigs. This isn't a VRAM thing though. This is just GPU horsepower.
This game takes a lot. It really does.
It does take a lot. So we'll continue to walk up this mountain, but last time we were down here, which you guys didn't see, it was definitely like the 40s to 50s, and we got up, it was more 60s. So I'm gonna imagine as we walk up, it's probably gonna be into
like 30s, 40s.
Yeah, 30s.
And that was 87% render scale.
Yes.
So it's crazy how much of a difference render scale makes.
Yeah, it does. So we'll go all the way up here, see if things get any better. But our good old man, Benchmarkus, looking fine as hell.
His head is so square.
He's looking fine as hell. All right, so we're gonna run past these guys real quick. But yeah, we're only getting about 40 FPS, which I would say, oh god dang it,
I tanked it.
He got me good in it. Oh, the FPS is tanking. But yeah, no, we're getting 30 FPS here. Not great. Okay, you go over there. I don't even want to deal with you for real. 30 to 40 FPS looking at the gates. I will say it looks better than it did before, but 40 FPS is not how I want to play this. I mean, the game did come out at 30, but oh god.
I don't even think it looked this bad on the original Xbox.
Oh god, this is pretty rough.
I don't even think Morrowind ran this bad.
All right, let's try, just for the fun of it, guys, you saw it. It was like 30 to 40 FPS on average. So definitely got some work to do here. Let's try upscaling.
What, you know what I was just thinking about? What is the render resolution percentage that makes it 1080?
It would be 75.
75?
75. So theoretically,
There we go. Dude, I was going to go so low.
I'm probably not going to get exact. We'll do 70.
70, yeah.
All right, so we'll do 70% render scale, which will be a little below 1080p. Come on, come back. So, okay, about like 50-something FPS. You can definitely tell it is doing some sort of rendering here. But yeah, so 1080p, you'd still want to be running low settings to play this at 1080p, which is crazy. But I mean, that's just kind of what this game's all about. We'll leave that on 70 because I mean, that's actually, so we don't mess that up for the next game. Let's put that back up. And we'll just try Intel's upscaler because we might as well see if there's any difference here. So we're on balanced. But we are at 100% render scale now.
Yeah, that's true, yeah. So we actually doubled our FPS then almost.
So it actually worked, which is funny. On the other recording, it didn't seem to work. So is this game just kind of crazy? I don't know. But we're getting a smoother, this does feel a lot smoother, 60 FPS with the balanced upscaler. So you could get away with that, running 100% render scale with the Intel upscaler.
It still looks really good, too.
It does look good. And the last thing we're going to test is just a little FSR with frame gen.
It's not an AMD card, but it'll try.
It'll try. Yeah, I wouldn't run FSR. You're probably going to run Intel upscaling if you're going to have this graphics card, 1440p on medium settings, maybe low, and you'll get close to 60 FPS, but you'll definitely have dips. We'll see what the 5060 can do, because currently we're using 10 gigs of VRAM. How low will we have to go with the 5060 to get to where it has good FPS? We'll find out. Well, all right, guys, this might be the first scenario where we're having a little bit of an issue here, but I mean, benchmark is still looking fine. Stunning. Look at the nose and everything. Just to confirm, these are the settings we are currently running, same as before, 1440p, medium settings with FXAA on, no upscaling, and reflex enabled, because we're going to need it when we're getting about 30 FPS. Again, this is running at the 100% render scale, this is somewhat similar to what was happening with the B580. It's just not dramatically better, actually. It's almost like if we took the VRAM from the B580, slapped it in this genre, we'd probably get a little more performance. But regardless, it's just a game that is very demanding, and we're going to need to run some sort of upscaling and see if the upscaling actually matters this time, because the B580, it didn't seem to matter all that much. I'll walk on up here with Benchmarkus. So yeah, we're getting about 30 FPS here, not great. I don't care, I'm not a civilian, I'm Benchmarkus. I'm not a civilian, they call me Benchmarkus. No. Staying here, we're getting about 30 FPS. Not ideal, but what we can do is, while these things are gonna be running at me, is we can turn on some upscaling, because I feel like DLSS is gonna make a better impact than the other ones we had so far. So we'll do no frame gen for now. See what that looks like. It made it, I would say, more playable, but not dramatically better without frame gen. We're getting about 50 FPS.
I feel like frame gen is gonna go crazy.
Yeah, frame gen is gonna go crazy. I still think this card is 100% for this kind of game, 1080p. 1440p is just not gonna cut it. Are these guys gonna help me at all? I'm not gonna survive. Benchmarkus can, yeah, thank you. Benchmarkus cannot do this. Let's just try frame gen for the fun of it. Because before, with the, at least frame gen, FSR frame gen on the B580, it didn't matter, but, okay. 80 FPS?
A little bit more, yeah.
Smoother, still getting dips into the 60s, so we're hitting 50s. So it's really not making a big difference with these cards when it comes to frame gen. Nothing major. I'll say this is the one where they're the closest, with the 5060 getting a little lower without any sort of help with the upscaling, but hey, I would say comfortably, if you're going to want to have a good experience, just for the fun of it, I'll drop it down to low here for this one as well. We didn't do that for the B580, so again, this is a comparison point, but we will try low. And now we're getting about 80, still dips.
It slowly drops.
It still dips. So all in all, I just think this is a 1080p card for Oblivion, being a very demanding game for both of these scenarios. Maybe the B580 gets a slight edge, but again, it still has its own issues. So hey, interesting test where we actually see a much closer battle. Let's move on to the next game.
All right, guys, we are playing Helldivers, and they did not waste any time to put us straight into the action. Can I even escape from this? No, I literally can't pause. Well, what we are running, let me see if, we're gonna go really quick. You all ready? You all ready? Pay attention. 4040p, native, and we're on the medium preset, which for some reason is ultra texture quality, which I thought was kind of funny, but we could change that if we need to, but I mean, hey, right now we're getting like console-like performance, basically, like 60 to
death FPS. One thing to mention as well, just for transparency, we were going to do Doom the Dark Ages, but we were having a lot of issues with it. We don't know if it's the art card, if it was the install or whatever. Just for the fun of it, we'll test the 5060 once we go to the 5060 in that game, just to see if it's a notable thing to mention, because, you know, Intel Arc is known for having some random issues here and there. So it's important to mention, but I mean, right now we're getting, what, 49, 50 FPS.
Yeah, and we'll show you guys like what settings. Like I probably wouldn't try to. I'd try to go a little higher than that. All right, let's see. So we could probably do. I know this game basically just has like render scale, rather than because I don't know if this game has upscaling.
No, it's just its own render scale, I guess. So
balanced.
Yeah, it's balanced. FPS just went boom.
The game definitely doesn't look nearly as good.
No.
Like this looks like it lowered to about 1080p is what I would, maybe even a little lower.
Yeah.
But it's definitely more playable. So this is probably what I would run, honestly. I'd be okay with the game looking a little worse just to get really nice FPS. I think I killed everyone. I mean, it's just...
You killed them all. They're all gone.
It's just that easy. But yeah, no, I mean, Intel Arc seems to, especially new Arc. Now, we will say, like, first-gen Arc, you know, it was kind of scary. It was a gamble on, like, what games it would even run. But so far, besides Doom being a little weird, which I really think is, like, our install or our PC being weird, you know, we're looking pretty good. And I think I'm going to die here.
Let's go take him out. Oh. All right, we'll see what the 5060 can do.
Yep, 5060. All right, we're playing Helldivers again, the game where I can't go into the settings and pause it without, I'm ready to get to die. How do I heal? B. Yeah. All right, so we're running the same settings as before. Let me see if I can find a little, I'm not going to find a spot, am I? Hold on. Surely I can find somewhere to get away from these monsters. Here we go. All right, so we're currently running some 1440p, native, no upscaling, no nothing, you know, just a nice medium 1440p graphic preset.
And this is doing a good amount better, because
Yeah.
before we're getting 50 to 60 on medium native settings, but now we're getting 80 to where we really don't even need any upscaling.
Yeah. No, you definitely don't need upscaling for this.
No, and the VRAM usage is below 7, so this game doesn't seem to have super demanding textures, at least at medium settings. So again, it all depends on the games. Like, we've seen from our testing, we can break cards with 8 gigs of VRAM with Indiana Jones with ray tracing, but like, how many of you are actively playing Indiana Jones? Let's be honest here. And if you have some concern for future-proofing, I know that's the PC space. Everyone's worried about future-proofing. I guess theoretically, the B580 could last a little while longer, but you know, the 5060, given the market, people are going to buy it. And yeah, these settings are the same, it feels like. Yeah, 5060, good amount better in this game, and the VRAM does not seem to be a problem. Rah! Next game. All right, guys, we're in Clear Obscure Expedition 33, currently on the B580, and we are currently running the following settings. That's not the settings button, this is the settings button. We're currently running native 1440p on medium preset, which I'm gonna imagine we're gonna wanna run some XeSS upscaling here at 1440p, because right now we're getting about 40 FPS, and again, VRAM is not the limiting factor currently. We're at only 8 gigs total being used, so that is something important to mention. We'll walk around this area real quick so you guys can get an idea of the performance, but yeah, this is a game I would definitely be trying to get 60 FPS at least. And we're getting close, but I think upscaling is gonna be very important here. I think I'm going backwards now that I realize that.
Yeah, I'm curious to see if like, I almost feel like maybe the limit for 8 gigs should be like the 5060 Ti and above.
Yeah, guys, so I don't have to do a boss fight. I'm kind of just gonna run around here for a little bit. This would be the best way to show you guys FPS. So we'll mess with upscaling, but I would say pretty comfortably in this game, 40 to 50 FPS on these settings, which if you're gonna want 60, let's go ahead and turn on some upscaling here. Again, I keep forgetting that this is the button you have to press. We'll turn on XeSS and we'll run it on ultra quality instead of anti-aliasing, which would just be to improve the visual qualities. So looks like there's a capture card reset for whatever reason. Sorry, McAllister. Much more playable. We're getting about 60 to 70 FPS, and the quality still looks pretty good. Doesn't look too bad. I would imagine in fight scenes we would dip a little bit below that, but in terms of just a quick showing of what this card can do with the B580, I mean, we're not pulling all the VRAMs, so in theory the 5060 with its horsepower should do better, but we gotta jump to that 5060 to show you guys so you guys can make the ultimate decision here. But on the native settings, 40 to 50 FPS, turn on some upscaling, 60 to 70 pretty comfortably. Let's see what the 5060 can do. Okay guys, we are now playing with the RTX 5060 in Clair Obscure Expedition 33, and I will say this is a decent amount better so far. We're currently running the following settings. We are using DLAA, so pretty much native with DLSS on, just like we did with the Intel upscaling using XeSS. We are running medium settings at 1440p, and we are currently getting 60 FPS.
Much more playable.
Much more playable. You really could play this way. Again, I'm not gonna do a fight scene because, well, I'm like right next to this boss. I really don't wanna run that again, but just for comparison, we'll run around here. We were getting a few hiccups here and there, dips into the 40s. Even here, we are getting around 55, so it's not a perfect 60, but if I throw on some actual DLSS upscaling, let's go into the settings here and do that. Graphics, and let's run unlimited. Let's run quality. You know, I don't think we need to go balance. We'll try balance just for the fun of it. Of course, capture card resync for that, McAllister, I apologize. And now, yeah,
Whoa.
we are getting 80 to 90 FPS. So yeah, this game with the 5060 running great and VRAM not being utilized that much, at least in this one title. I mean, so far, not too bad. Just for sanity's sake, I think I'm in windowed mode. Let's see if Afterburner is just showing what VRAM usage we are doing inside game. So like, yeah, we're not using any shared usage right now. We are just using what appears to be 6 gigs of our VRAM at 1440p for this game. So I think the conclusion is we'll do our side-by-side benchmarks. The 5060 is a faster overall GPU versus the B580. Now the B580 is in a bad position because it came out first and it was, well, cheaper, and now it's more expensive just based on the market that we're in currently. So hopefully the B580 can get a bit cheaper and be a better price performance option. But in terms of raw GPU horsepower and how it handles its upscaling like DLSS, it seems like the 5060 is pretty solid at this price point on the new market. So let's do some side-by-side benchmarks, and then from there, we will have a full conclusion. But so far, the 5060 is looking like a pretty decent option at this price point. New. Price point new. It's important to mention. Okay guys, now that we're done with our Let's Play benchmarks where you got to see some live action gameplay, let's do some true side-by-side benchmarks of the 5060 versus the B580 to see what the results are. First up in CS2, again, we're going to be running all these benchmarks at 1080p this go around for these side-by-side benchmarks because we did 1440p for the live benchmarks. At 1080p, CS2, 1080p low, we end up getting an average of 426.3 FPS with a 1% low of 173.9 on the B580, while compared to the RTX 5060, we got an average of 595.9 FPS with a 1% low of 197.4. Both of these are crazy high FPS numbers, but if you're wanting the 500 to 600 FPS, the 5060 is the graphics card for you. Even with the same CPU in a game like CS on low settings, we saw a 100 plus FPS improvement. Next up, the Black Myth Wukong benchmark tool, 1080p medium settings. With the B580, we got an average of 57 FPS, a max of 67, a minimum of 25. And with the RTX 5060, we got an average of 59 FPS, a max of 69, a minimum of 17. Not a major difference here, but it does show at 1080p medium settings that both cards, even with only 8 gigs of VRAM, can run the built-in benchmark, but the game itself might be more demanding. So I might give an edge to the B580 here in a game like Black Myth Wukong. The averages might be lower, but you won't run into the VRAM problem that the 5060 will eventually have to deal with. Next up, Monster Hunter Wilds, 1080p medium settings with no upscaling. The B580 got an average of 58.6 FPS with a score of 20,037, while the 5060 got an average of 75.26 FPS with a score of 25,708. Running 1080p medium settings without any upscaling, we didn't reach that VRAM maximum, and things are running very smooth on the 5060. Now, if we bump things up to higher settings, we'll probably see the B580 get a better overall average because the 5060 is going to struggle with VRAM. But if you do target 1080p medium settings, which seems ridiculous with a $300 graphics card, you are able to get higher FPS with the 5060 compared to the B580. And lastly, 3D Mark Time Spy, which I do have to mention, give a big disclaimer here. Intel GPUs tend to perform very well in 3D Mark because Intel has made their GPUs perform very well in 3D Mark, so take these numbers with a grain of salt. But the B580 got a score of 14,324, while the 5060 got a lesser score at 13,625. Now, the RTX 5060 is the latest GPU from NVIDIA that is getting bashed by creators, and I will say, it's not amazing. $299, I wish we had more VRAM, something similar to the B580 where we had at least 12 gigs of VRAM, but we don't this generation. But when we're talking about two GPUs at the same price point, the B580 being regularly around $299 unless you go to a Micro Center and you find a deal at the $259 price point, both of these GPUs at the same price point, the 5060 seems to perform better. But I do feel like with this GPU choice, there is more to talk about. So let's go ahead and bring Jackson back in here and wrap this video up real quick.
Well guys, we're actually a little bit surprised because even with 4 more gigs of VRAM, the Intel Arc B580 in most games falls behind in raw performance, and especially when it comes to using DLSS. Of course, DLSS has been around a lot longer, so they've had time to refine the technology, but it just goes to show that not all games need all of that VRAM just yet, but it is kind of a future-proofing question. Will we need more in the future? We don't really know yet.
In maybe a year or two, if some of these esports titles are becoming more demanding and the games that we played that weren't reaching 8 gigs of VRAM start needing, let's say, 9 to 10, then the 5060 is going to start to struggle, but we're not exactly there yet. So our general recommendation is as follows. If you want 12 gigs of VRAM, the extra 4 gigs compared to the 5060, and you want to worry more about long-term support for games like, let's say, esports titles that may start requiring 9, 10 gigs of VRAM even at lower resolutions, the B580 is probably your best option. And with Intel cards, they always seem to get better with age. But if you want the most raw horsepower out of the box today, if you're buying a graphics card at $299 on the new market, again, use market market is a different story. There are better value options on the used market. The 5060 8 gigs seems to be the best option for raw horsepower compared to the B580. But we want to hear from you guys. Did this video change your mind at all about the RTX 5060, or are you guys going to be team B580 at the $299 price point on the new market? Let us know down below. If you want to buy any of these GPUs, link in the description down below will be affiliate links and will help us out.
So as always, we hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, make sure you check out our other 2 YouTube channels and also our twitch.tv/ToastyBros. Do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
And we'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.
Now at PCBros.tech, we can make this choice simple for you because we got a build that has pretty much every graphics card you see here.
We have a pre-built that's ready to go with the B580, and we have a 5060 Ti and most likely a 5060 pre-built coming to the website at some point in the future. Use code ToastyBros on checkout. You'll save 3% on your next purchase. See you guys later. Goodbye.